morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, sold out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at some really nice new special illustration rares. They are all done by Yano Keiji here, and we've got all of the Ogerpon, and they all match very nicely indeed. So let's start off with your teal mask Ogerpon. Now, one of the things we actually need to point out before we really get going here, we're not gonna have many more. Like, in your average set, in your ordinary everyday run-of-the-mill set, we only actually get 3 special illustration rare Pokemon. The fact that we're getting 4 is already weird. Like, if we look at Crimson Haze, for instance, what do we end up seeing? You've got Greninja, you've got Sinistcha, and we've got Blood Moon Ursaluna. There are exactly 3 of them, only 3. That is the general rule. You get, in your average set, you get 3 EXs and 2 supporters. So I don't know what they're doing numbers-wise here. Are we getting an extra one? Are we maybe only getting 1 special illustration rare supporter because we're getting 4 Pokemon? The answer is I don't know. But just as we start off here, the fact that there is a 4th Pokemon getting a special illustration rare is unusual and creates questions to which, as it stands at the moment, we don't have answers. So Teal Mask Ogerpon then, what have we actually got? Well, we've got the engine. We've got the beginning of the story, so to speak. This is the one that's got the ability that allows you to attach an energy once during your turn, and if you do, you draw a card. Jobs are good and nice and simple. And actually, I just showed you earlier today that new Blissey. The new Blissey is awesome. It's got an ability that once during your turn, you can move a basic energy from one of your Pokemon to another. Actually makes Ogerpon way better, because it means you can essentially attach to Ogerpon and then move the energy wherever you want afterwards, which is clearly brilliant. So, yeah, honestly, I think that's kind of awesome. And now we've got this lovely special illustration rare that makes it look, well, I'm going to be honest with you, right? I am not personally a fan of these special illustration rares, but I do think when we see them in person, there's probably going to be texturing, etc. that makes them way better. But I'm just saying right off the bat, I don't think they're the best ones ever, and I'm sorry if you're mad at me for that. Like, I would much rather have, like, the Ursaluna, for instance, than one of these. Although I've opened 2 boxes of Crimson Haze, and I didn't get the Ursaluna, and that's a little bit sad. And I should actually mention the Teal Mask Ogerpon does have a rather nice attack as well. For free energy, it does 30 damage, plus 30 for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. So you can punish your opponent for attaching energy, or you can just attach a whole bunch of energy and then just run through all your opponent's Pokemon. It's a very cool one. It's not my favorite in terms of attacking here, but it absolutely is. It's the engine. It's the one that's going to get you going, and for that, I think it's pretty gosh darn good. My favorite one for attacking is probably Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. I think this one is awesome, because what we got here is a rather lovely ability that basically prevents damage of attacks from Pokemon with abilities. Not EXs of abilities or Rulebox Pokemon with abilities or anything like that. Any Pokemon that's got an ability, you are blocking. Okay, cool. But the thing is, how good this is going to be, it's going to vary as we go through the next couple of years when this card is legal. But essentially what we need to do is just take a look at the main decks in the format, take a look at the main attackers in those decks, and then that's going to be able to tell us how good this actually is. So, at the moment, best deck in the format, Charizard. And both Charizard EX and Radiant Charizard have abilities, hence you're blocking them, jobs are good'un. But Giratina doesn't have an ability. And Iron Hands doesn't have an ability. And Roaring Moon doesn't have an ability. So you're not blocking everything. For what it's worth, Gardevoir is still incredibly relevant and does have an ability. So there's plenty here. Plenty that you will be blocking. But it's just worth pointing out that no, you are not getting everything. You're getting a bunch of stuff. but you're not actually blocking everything here. You have been warned. But again, the format will change. More Pokemon will come out. Also interesting to note, the attack. Free energy, 140, not affected by weakness, resistance, or any other effects. The fact that it doesn't hit for weakness is horrendous. I hate it, because fighting's a great weakness to hit. You get colorless, you get lightning, you get some darkness, etc. But the fact that it can go through anything that might be blocking you and stopping you, that's actually pretty good. I've got to be honest with you. That's actually pretty good. But if we take a second and look at the Teal Mask and Cornerstone Mask special illustration rares next to each other, you'll notice they are very stylistically similar. Like I've said, they are all done by the same artist. They are all very similarly done in this style. And if you're asking me for the best one in terms of design, it's probably the two we haven't actually seen yet. It's probably one of those two. How about Wellspring Mask? I still don't love the special illustration rares here. And they are, and I know stylistically they're a bit different, but in terms of the pose, they're very similar to the regular ones. It's just kind of Ogerpon sitting out there throwing out the mask. But Wellspring Mask is a very, very cool Pokemon. Now, single energy, 20 damage, and stops retreating. I'm going to be honest with you, it's not amazing. There will be times it's really good. There will be times that stopping your opponent retreating gives you a gigantic advantage, and that's wonderful. But I do think it's fair to say that a lot of the time, it's going to be a little bit pointless. If there's games you can trap something in the active and you're pretty sure your opponent's out of switching cards, wonderful. But unless it's one of those games, this is going to be, well, to put it simply, an underwhelming Pokemon. But the attack. Free energy, 100 damage, and you may shuffle energy from this Pokemon into your deck to deal 120 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And straight off the bat, your first reaction here is, well, alright then, clearly that works beautifully with Baxcalibur, and it does. It does work beautifully with Baxcalibur, because they can just reattach the energy and jobs are good 'un. Yay! But also, we do have Radiant Greninja. And Radiant Greninja is a little bit of a problem, because Radiant Greninja just does 90 to 2 Pokemon. Now that is 90 to 2, this is 100 to the active, 120 to the bench. Whereas Greninja can hit 2 bench, this has to hit the active and the bench. And it does do more damage than Greninja, 40 more in total, but it has to hit the active, it cannot hit 2 bench. And it doesn't have the ability that Greninja has to discard an energy and draw cards, but it does do more damage. And, I mean, if you want one example, Bibarel. That is a Pokemon that is out of range of Greninja, but is not out of range of this. But then again, you could very simply say, look, as soon as your opponent sees you playing a Baxcalibur deck, they know you're going after the bench. That's when their Manaphy's going to hit the board, and it doesn't matter. Also a fair point. I still think it's great as a one-off in those decks, honestly. And also, Greninja discards energy, but Ogerpon puts it back into your deck, and it's going to be very, very easy to get straight back again with Chen Pao. And then we finish off with the Half Flame Mask. Again, very similar special illustration rare by the same artist. It's fine. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't hit special illustration rare Pokemon often from my boxes I get from Japan. I'll probably get 2 boxes of this set, like I get 2 boxes. Well, I was doing 1 box a set, but I was already, when you open 1 box of a Japanese set, you're already missing 2 EXs. Now, of course, illustration rares are here with Scarlet and Violet. You're missing 9 of them. You pull 3 out of 12. Now you're also missing 2 of the free Ace Specs. So since Ace Specs came in, I have actually started buying a second box of each set, because it's just the easier way round to deal with it, honestly. But the point is, we've got another Ogerpon, and it's pretty cool. Free energy, 140, 280 to an evolution Pokemon, not bad. But I really like the free energy, 20 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. Sure, it doesn't do much if your opponent one-hit KOs you, but if they don't one-hit KO you, and they're not always going to be able to, then you're in a great situation where your opponents use their attack, and you then hit them back harder. Like, I cannot be the only one that thinks that's cool. Going, oh, okay, fine, you hit me, good point. Now I hit you back harder. I just think that's nice. Maybe it's just me. So there we go. Those are the 4 special illustration rare Ogerpon. They are all very similar. And look, they're not my favourites personally. I told you that. But there are going to be some people watching this video who are like, Wassy, you're an idiot. These are among the coolest cards I've ever seen. And for those people, they've got 4 of these cards to try and go and search out and pick up. And that's kind of amazing. I love this. This is cool. And although it's not my favourite art style personally, there have been plenty of cards over the past few years that I have absolutely adored. And there'll be plenty of people that don't love the ones I love. So they're different, they're weird, they're stylized. Some people are going to love them. That makes me happy. But don't expect, any other EXs from this. Don't expect a special illustration rare. Expect these to be the only special illustration rares in the set, at least in terms of Pokemon. And bear in mind, there's one more Pokemon than we would expect that could have a knock-on effect elsewhere with supporters, etc. But that's what you need to know, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these, tell me how much you love them, tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely It's a Coaster, who's been a supporter of ours for a long time now and is a very lovely person, very active on our Discord. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.